my beauties, welcome to my channel. Today's intro is going to be super short because what we're going to be doing is going through all my eyeshadow palettes, decluttering, sorting, and I feel like I'm going to do it in 3 different groups. So I'm going to have the keep it pile, the maybe pile, which we will go ahead and decide whether or not to keep it or donate it later or at the end of the video, and then also a declutter pile. And so I am really excited about this video. I think I'm going to make this into part 1 and part 2. I am trying to really reduce the size of all my eyeshadow palettes. And what I'm going to do with the decluttered eyeshadow palettes is I'm going to create a different giveaway video for you guys of gently used eyeshadow palettes. And for those of you who are interested, you guys can participate in that giveaway and I'll send them out to you guys. I am trying to kind of declutter and just organize all my makeup this past month. And so let's go ahead and jump into it. I hope all of you guys are doing great. And let's go ahead and jump into the declutter. Alright my beauties, so these are all the palettes we have to go through, organize, declutter, and so let's get started. Alright, so I really don't know how we're going to do this, but I think I'm going to make 3 different piles. I'm going to make one for giveaway or declutter, one for maybe, and then one for keep, and then we're kind of going to decide the middle pile together. And so let's kind of go from left to right. There's too many palettes to count. And so we're going to start with the Milani palettes because they are right here at the edge. I love Milani as a eyeshadow brand for the drugstore. They have some amazing colors. I am going to pass these along though because I do have their newer palettes. So these 2 are going to go ahead and go into the declutter pile. Same thing with these 2. These I think I got at like the dollar store and they have surprisingly good pigmentation, but I just don't use them among all the other ones, and I was gonna make a video on these, never got a chance to, and so I'm gonna go ahead and put these on the declutter pile. Next, also moving on, is gonna be a declutter for the Lorac palette. Even though the packaging is super cute, one of my shadows, my favorite shadow in this palette, actually shattered, so I'm definitely gonna go ahead and declutter this one as well. Okay, next we have the Narcissist palette. This is what the eyeshadow palette looks like. I have not gotten a chance to play around with this one, I feel like, enough yet. So I'm going to go ahead and keep it for a little bit longer. So this is going to be in the keep pile right here. Next right here is a Tease Me Beauty Creations palette. I think this came in one of the subscription boxes. And I'm going to go ahead... Oh, there's the plastic foil. I'm going to go ahead and donate this one. I swatched the shimmers, and the shimmers in this palette are absolutely gorgeous. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in the declutter pile because someone can definitely get a lot of use out of that one. Next, moving on, is the Zulu by Juvia's Place. This is an amazingly affordable, really good quality eyeshadow brand. I really do enjoy their palettes. This palette I got not too long ago and the packaging is always so stunning, but unfortunately I don't get any use out of this. I have my favorite like rainbow palettes and this isn't one of them, so I'm gonna go ahead and declutter this one. Moving on, Glam and Metals palette by Crown. This came in a boxy charm as I recall. It has a really cool guitar shaped mirror, really cool beautiful shades and shimmers, more of like a metallic finish, very kind of rock and roll. I'm not sure if I want to get rid of this palette just yet, so this one's gonna go in the maybe pile right here in the middle, and then we're kind of gonna decide at the very end. Next is the Elamar Cosmetics palette, also from Birchbox, no not Birchbox, BoxyCharm. And these are the shadows. They are absolutely stunning colors. I did a swatching of them. I don't really use them. This olive one is just spectacular, but I just don't get enough use out of it, and I feel like someone else might get more use out of this, so this is gonna go in the declutter pile. Moving on, Makeup Revolution London. This palette is one of my original favorite palettes from the drugstore, and I really don't want to part with it yet. I just love the color scheme in this palette. I like the pigmentation, and I just really enjoy Makeup Revolution like dupe palettes. So I'm gonna put this one in the maybe pile because I'm not sure I'm gonna keep it yet. Next palette is the Electric palette by Urban Decay. I don't know if I want to keep this one. I don't have a lot of like rainbow palettes. I don't have a lot of like neon colors. These seem like they are mainly like satin and sparkle formula. I'm gonna go ahead and put this in the maybe pile. Not sure if I want to declutter it just yet. Moving on. Too Faced, the Makeup of Power by Nikki Tutorials. I kept this palette at the last decluttering I did. So at this decluttering, I think I'm going to go ahead and let it go. I don't get a lot of use out of it. I really wanted to keep it just as a kind of like almost like a souvenir because I do love Nikki Tutorials, like her tutorials. She is an amazing artist, and I don't know if I should keep this one. I really am debating it. It's gonna go ahead and go in my middle pile for now. I think I'm gonna declutter it, but maybe not just yet right now. Next, moving on, is the Lorac Mega Pro 4 palette. I am gonna pass this one along because I think I've gotten a pretty large amount of use out of this palette. I loved it. I think it was my favorite, in my top favorite palettes for 2017. I love Lorac formula for eyeshadows. Very smooth, very lightweight, but I don't really use that one. It's a bigger palette, so I am going to go ahead and declutter that one. Next, moving on, this is the Graveyard Girl Swamp Queen palette. It's actually broken. Last time I did a decluttering, I feel like I broke it in recording the video. This is what it looks like on the inside, and this one, even though it is broken, I am going to go ahead and keep for a little while longer. So Take Me to Brazil. Super affordable by BH Cosmetics. One of my favorite rainbow palettes that I use for Halloween, for different makeup looks in general. Absolutely awesome. Now I think they have like a white packaged version, but I would definitely suggest getting this rainbow palette. I really do enjoy it, so I am going to go ahead and keep it. Next, one of my favorite rainbow palettes is by Certify, and this is like a Tropical Wonders palette. It really has a really beautiful cover with a lion, and these are the colors I absolutely love. The just color variety. It has really decent pigmentation for the colored shadows, and so I'm definitely going to keep this one because I do use it for more creative looks. And same thing with the Sugar Pill palette that I custom made and created. These are big pan sizes of shadows. I arranged these colors on my own. This is a definite really good pigmented formula on these shadows. They have a lot of different variations of shades. I created this palette, so I am going to go ahead and keep it. Same thing with the Zoeva palette. Oh my gosh, I can't let go of these more colorful palettes because they're so unique. This is more of like a toned down rainbow palette, but I do really enjoy the shadows. There's some that are a little bit more unique, that like these right here, the blues. This is like one of my favorite kind of shade of blues, so I do really enjoy it. I don't want to let go of it just yet, even though I might not use it as often as I would want to. I'm still gonna go ahead and keep it for now. Next, moving on, this palette right here, Treasure Chest Mellow palette. I am gonna go ahead and pass it on. I think the shimmers are really beautiful. There's like a really nice neutral vibe from this palette. It has 4 mattes, most shimmers, and I just don't really reach for this palette, so I'm gonna go ahead and pass it along. Okay, next, moving on, is the Magnificent Color Edition by Rimmel London. I feel like this is a pretty decent eyeshadow palette from the drugstore. Don't really reach for it, so I am going to go ahead and declutter. Next is the Urban Decay After Dark palette. I love the packaging. These are the shadows. They're all shimmery, all beautiful. I am going to go ahead and keep this one. I feel like I love the packaging, and I have not gotten a lot of use out of this one yet, so this is going to go on the keep pile. Next, Morphe and Kathleen Lights palette. So this is what this one looks like. As you guys can see, I have used this one plenty of times. I feel like it's a really greatly
composed palette. Like, it was really well thought out. It has amazing like variations and combination of shadows where you can do definite like neutral looks. You can do mauve, which I absolutely adore. You can go a little bit more brown, a little smoky, a little bit of pop of color, and overall I do really enjoy this palette. I feel like it has all the necessities, so I am gonna go ahead and keep it for now. Moving on, the e.l.f. eyeshadow palette. This is one of my favorite eyeshadow palettes from the drugstore, one of my favorite matte palettes from the drugstore. So I am gonna go ahead and put it in the maybe pile for now, and we'll kind of decide a little bit later, but I really do enjoy it. Moving on, a Flower Beauty eyeshadow palette. This is also in my top, probably, I don't know, I want to say maybe in my top 10 eyeshadow palettes from the drugstore. I do really enjoy this one. I am really hesitant to give it away, so I'm gonna go ahead and maybe keep this one for a little bit longer. Next is another favorite drugstore palette that survived a couple declutterings. This is the NYX Avant Pop palette. It has amazing pigmentation. I really do enjoy the NYX palettes that are in this format. They seem to have really great pigmentation and colors, and I just really do enjoy it. So I don't know, I'm gonna put it in the maybe pile for now, and then we'll decide later. Next, moving on, Too Faced White Chocolate Bar. This palette I really adored. As for the packaging, I really liked the Too Faced like chocolate bar palettes, even though I gave all of them pretty much away already. I do not reach for this one, even though I thought it'd be a great option for the summer or springtime. I don't think I reached for it more than maybe twice, and it's not as exciting to me as I thought it would be, so I'm gonna go ahead and declutter this one. Is the Makeup Revolution Pro HD palette. This palette I actually purchased because I really wanted to do a dupe video on this and the Soft Glam palette by Anastasia Beverly Hills. I really do think it has a lot of the similar tones, and so I think I might still go ahead and do like a dupe video before I do declutter these palettes, but I am gonna go ahead and declutter this palette just because I don't really use it, and besides making that video, you know, I don't want it to just sit there when someone else can go ahead and get a lot out of it. Moving on, one palette from Too Faced I do really still enjoy is the Too Faced Sweet Peach palette, and like I said, I believe I gave all my other chocolate bars away besides this one. I just really like how it's a little bit of everything in here, from a little bit of green, a little bit of purple, darker plum, bronze, a little bit of, you know, just peachy colors. It smells great. So I am going to go ahead and keep this one for a little bit longer. Moving on, Jouer. This is the next palette. I don't know if I should keep this one. I really like the color schemes. The pigmentation is pretty good. I do like the color variation in here. I just don't reach for it as much as I would want to, so I'm going to put this in the maybe pile. Okay, so I'm going to move this keep pile right here on the back, and then this is going to be the maybe pile because they're not even like staying in one place anymore. Okay, so I feel like I made the little towers a little bit more stable, so we have declutter pile, maybe pile, and then this is going to be the keep pile. Okay, so let's continue. Next is the Urban Decay Beached Eyeshadow Palette. I was really excited about this palette. I have created a few really nice, exciting looks. I really do like the combination of like this matte in the crease and this darker blue. I feel like that made a really nice look before. I really like this chocolate shimmery. I wasn't a big fan of these shimmer shades. They weren't as pigmented as I would want them to be. But overall, I did already play around with this palette, so I'm going to go ahead and pass it along. Next, moving on, one of my absolute favorite palettes in the world is the Tarte and Bloom palette. This is my absolute like holy grail neutral palette. I feel like it has all the necessities for a neutral look for me. I absolutely love it. The only thing maybe I would add is like a chocolate matte brown. But besides that, mauves are the shades that I do tend to gravitate towards always. It has a beautiful, beautiful shimmer. It has beautiful mattes in the crease shades, beautiful like brownish chocolate shimmer, a few darker shades that are matte to make it smoky, and I absolutely love this palette. I don't think I will ever get rid of this palette. I feel like this is a necessity in every person's like makeup collection, so definite keep. Next, moving on, is this fancy buxom eyeshadow palette that is kind of custom made, but I think this was like a holiday edition. I do like the shades. I don't think this is like a very exciting palette to me. I haven't used it a ton just because I feel like some of these shades are a little bit of like repeats and they're not like as a drastic variation. So I'm gonna go ahead and pass this one along. We have a few Colourpop shadows. So Fame is my favorite Colourpop palette, or one of my top, let's say, 4 favorite Colourpop palettes. I do get a lot of use out of it, even though it's cool toned. It's not like extremely gray toned. It has a little bit of warmth in there, just enough to get me the kind of looks I like. So this is a definite keep. But on the other hand, the Fortune palette, this is the warmer version of this palette. I don't really feel like I use it enough. I think it's another similar dupe to the like soft glam look palette. I am gonna be decluttering this one, even though it has beautiful like formula. I just don't use it enough, so I'm gonna go ahead and declutter that one. Next is another one of my favorite Tarte palettes. This is the Man Eater palette. This is the older edition without the black. I do use this one a lot. I keep it on my vanity. It's almost like a day-to-day work look type palette, so I'm gonna go ahead and keep this one as well. Violet Voss. This is one of my few, oh my gosh, the packaging is crazy awesome. Do you guys see the hollow reflections of the rainbows everywhere? So Violet Voss makes pretty decent shadow formula. I do really enjoy her palettes. I think I also gave most of mine away because I don't really reach for them as much as I would want to. And as you guys can see, this is a huge palette, so I don't really reach for it. This is the Ride and Die palette, and I will say it has beautiful shades, beautiful shimmers, beautiful selection of colors. The only thing is it's a little bit too, I don't know, not wearable for me, and that's not even the right description. I just don't reach for it. But for me, like, I personally don't wear a lot of yellows. I rarely reach for like an orange shade. So the only real shades I really used were like these 2 rows right here. And I don't wear a lot of silvers either, only once in a while. I just don't reach for this palette as much as I would want to. So I'm gonna go ahead and pass this one along as well into the declutter pile. Shade and Light palette by Kat Von D. I am gonna be keeping this one. I feel like it's one of those like matte necessity eyeshadow palettes. I really do enjoy her formula. Her shadows are absolutely great, and so I'm gonna go ahead and keep this one. Moving on, this Stila eyeshadow palette, I don't really use it. It has a few really beautiful shades, don't get me wrong. I just somehow don't reach for it as much as I would want to reach for it. So it's gonna go in my maybe pile for now. Next, moving on, the Just Peachy Too Faced palette. I really like these matte shades. For whatever reason, I don't always gravitate toward just matte looks, but this one just, I don't know, I just really do enjoy it. I really like the shade in the crease. The least shade I would use from this palette is probably the Peach Punch, just because it's a very like almost like on the neon side. But besides that, I do really like this palette. But am I gonna use it? Am I actually gonna reach for it and use it? Not really. I haven't reached for it in a while, so I'm gonna go ahead and declutter this one. Okay, next, moving on, this is the Sephora Pro eyeshadow palette. This is one I got at Sephora, and I do like these crazy colors for like I said, Halloween looks. This is one of my like rainbow palettes, so I am gonna go ahead and keep it. I do enjoy the formula of these. Some of these like highlighting shades aren't as pigmented as I would want them to be, but they're great like accent colors, and I do really use like this white and some of these purples, so I am gonna go ahead and keep this one for now. One of my other favorite matte palettes is the Visyard's Neutral Palette 01. I really do enjoy this quality. I feel like this and probably the Kat Von D eyeshadow palette in the mattes that I just put right there is amazing, and some of my favorite like matte formula. So I am going to be keeping those two matte eyeshadow palettes. Next is another one of my absolute favorite palettes that is an absolutely great multitasker. I really do enjoy it. This is the Phoenix Rising Pretty Vulgar palette. And this is what it looks like on the inside. Super cute packaging. It has a great variety of shades and possible looks. I have used this palette a ton. I would recommend it for anyone to get it. Really great pigmentation. I really do enjoy it. And you can get any type of look from like a purple to a plum to a more fiery red to a neutral to browns to really nice kind of pops of shimmer in the inner corner or accent color. I just really enjoy this palette, and I am not gonna go ahead and let go of it. Next, moving on, are two really similar eyeshadow palettes, and I bought both of them with the intention of recording like a dupes video because I know they were so similar in looks, and so this is what they look like. I feel like they're a perfect dupe. And I do prefer the formula of the Visyard shadows just slightly more, but honestly, you guys, you can make the same type of look with the Milani shadows. You just have to maybe build up the shade a little bit more, but I do love both of the formulas. They're great palettes, really similar shadows. And then I'm gonna declutter the Bold Obsessions by Milani, but I am gonna try to record a video before I get rid of it, but it's gonna go ahead and be passed along. Next, let's go through all the other Milani palettes. So this is a newer addition to my collection. This is the Soft and Sultry palette. I don't really know that I'm gonna get like a ton of use out of this palette because this one compared to the Colourpop one is a little bit almost too gray toned for me, so this one is also gonna be passed along. Next palette is the Milani Most Loved Matte, and this one I do really enjoy. One of my favorite all matte palettes from the Drugstore with the e.l.f. one, so I'm definitely gonna go ahead and keep this one for a little bit longer. Next, moving on, is the last Milani palette that I have is the Pure Passion palette, and I just recently got this, so I haven't had a chance to like play around with it enough. I do really enjoy this one over the Soft and Sultry palette, so I'm gonna keep this one and play around with it a little bit more. Next is another old favorite of mine from Tarte. This is the Tarteist Pro palette. This is probably like a year or two old already, but I remember how much I love this palette because it has like all my favorite shades. It is so well loved and so well used. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I have definitely made an indent on some of these shadows. I really adore this formula. I should get rid of it. I don't know if I will though, because it just brings back a lot of memories for me, and I didn't realize till now how many Tarte palettes I do enjoy, which is actually surprising. So I'm gonna put this in the maybe pile, so we'll see if we're gonna declutter or not. Alright, you guys, and I have this many more palettes to go through, so I'm gonna cut this video at this point, and then we'll do the rest in part 2.
Alright, my beauties, so this is where I'm going to cut part 1 of the declutter of my eyeshadow palettes. So definitely go ahead and join me for part 2. I will be uploading that this week. I really hope you guys enjoyed. I am really excited to get this done so we can go ahead and do the giveaway of the eyeshadow palettes to you guys. And so that'd be it for today. You can go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you'd like. I do all sorts of beauty and makeup things on here. You can also find me on Instagram, superlady246. You can also click the notification bell on here if you'd like, so you can be notified every time I upload my video. And that'd be it. I am not gonna prolong this video any longer. And so I'm sending you guys lots of love from me to you. Stay happy, stay positive, and I'll see you guys in my part 2 of my eyeshadow palette declutter. Lots of love. Bye. Mwah.